Yeah, so this is the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 210.
Yeah.
I'm here tonight with Philip Dassing and special guest Maj Toure of Black Guns Matter.
What's
you are
up?
the founder of Black Guns Matter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. For sure.
So
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming down,
for
man. I
coming
really
on, dude.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know
Dude,
it was
we're-
kind of short notice, too.
It's all
Dude,
good.
we're like huge fans of you here.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you realize most libertarians are huge fans of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's like a good squad to have support of people that like get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As freedom minded and liberty based. That's a good squad to, be a part of and get respect from. It's easy to get respect from people that live in an extreme world. It's a lot more valued to me. It's a lot more valued and it's a lot more appreciated when it's balanced minds, objective thinkers that rock with you. So, I appreciate it.
I feel like you're really bringing people together.
Yeah.
And then there's just like libertarian people who exist from all different types of races, right?
Yeah.
But there's this stereotypical demographic of libertarians being white males.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people who identify as libertarians are white males.
Yep.
But it's also, to me, it's just like common sense that minorities would appreciate the ideas of liberty, and that with liberty, the whole idea of liberty is, all individuals should have the same rights, and the smallest minority is the individual.
Correct. So it's not even should. We do. The process is to get people to understand that. So, for example, if most of urban America has freedom-based ideologies, right? Leave me alone. Leave my stuff alone. I'm gonna leave your stuff alone. And we good. You know what I'm saying? You could do whatever you want in your house. I'm gonna do what I want in my house. They just haven't been told that that's the title. So civics being removed from the schools is like, oh, that's what I was doing the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Which the trashy part is the libertarian movement, the party, the movement generally, overall, that level of understanding or translating that, the PR has been trash, And so it's like, it's kind of like, you ever see that movie? I forget what it's called, but it was like a cigarette movie. But anyway, he says,
Thank You for Smoking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, people. Like, cigarettes are cool and available and, cheap. They practically sell themselves. And it's kind of like, yo, it's freedom. It's from a demographic of people that have been, ostracized to a certain extent. This should be practically selling itself, but, I ain't really going to trip too much over about what we haven't done.
Oh, but I appreciate what you just said, because like I've said this a million times on the podcast, that most people are libertarian. They just don't know it yet.
Yep.
I think most people just believe in freedom. Most people just want to do what they want to do. If they're not hurting anybody, they believe that they should be left alone, and they think the same of others.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people, they'll get scared. Like, they get scared, like you said before, like arming black people, like that type of thing scares. That's that kind of idea kind of scares people sometimes.
But at the same time, since politics in this country have gotten so crazy, I feel like since Trump, and it's like everybody's just like so polarized, where it's like I almost feel like, maybe I've just started to. Maybe I feel like I'm naive because people are so like at each other's throats.
Nah, that shit ain't start with like Trump. That started. So Americans have short memory spans. Like, I call it like the goldfish thing. A goldfish for 7 seconds believes that its entire 7 seconds is how it's felt its entire life, right? So if a goldfish is sad for 7 seconds, it feels like it's been sad its entire life. That's a short attention span. We got to remember George Bush Jr. was the most hated, polarizing person.
Right.
Up until that point.
Yeah.
Up until that point.
Yeah.
And then depending on which quote unquote side you're on, quote unquote,
Exactly.
right? Then Obama shows up, who does horrible things policy wise for freedoms and liberties.
Yes.
Right? And then people that might identify with the right are like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Yeah, I always think the worst president is the one that's right now, because that's the one we got to deal with right now, And I also always think like the next president is going to be the worst president, because it seems like they just keep getting worse.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Because the pendulum keeps swinging too far and too left, and we out of balance. Liberty principles and freedom principles that are balanced. You know what I'm saying? We got to get back to a time where it's just regular people regular people that want to serve the communities that they're from that are in political positions. Right now, we turned it into like this rock star thing. You know what I'm saying? And your rock star status should be based on how you've been able to create things that serve the people. If that's not the case, then we shouldn't be able to look at you as a rock star. I look at Rep. Thomas Massey as a rock star. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's certain people that are in alignment with freedom and those concepts. Those people are rock stars for those reasons, not because they was famous on television. You know what I'm saying? Or even in being objective, okay, you famous for being on television, and I might like you for those reasons, but what are your policies as well? How are you serving the republic? You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it. If we can get back into that space, then we'll be good. But right now, we too extreme on both sides.
Where would you say that you've met the most opposition? Would you say you've met like the most opposition from the right or the left, or I mean, what do you think?
I get the most opposition from people in the gun community because I'm not a trainer. People that want to be so like see Jesus, see Judas, see Caesar, see Brutus. It's you in the same camp, and we fighting for these things.
People in the gun community, did you take a picture and your finger was on the trigger and then they got mad?
Not even that. So some of those guys get upset because I've worked with them before, and I'm like, yo, we got to move forward. We got to restructure it for me to come back to that city. There's guys that like got their panties in a bunch over that. You know, there's people that I didn't allow to take advantage of me, and they felt taken advantage of because I didn't let them trick me out of 40% of my company. Those people are like the backbiters and shit like that.
Oh, I saw you with Hickok 45's son, by the way, on YouTube. That was cool.
Yeah, John's a good dude. John's a real good dude.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, so it's like that's where you really get the most, but that's not real. The rumble for us is now galvanizing all of this energy from the gun community and beginners and all of that, and turning more and more people into political power.
I mean, you know, it just blows my mind that the gun community would give you any shit.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you have the possibility of expanding the gun community.
That's why I said it scares people. I feel like that.
Right.
You know, I've watched a lot of your interviews. I've been a fan of yours for a while. We're friends on Facebook. You probably don't know it because I'm sure you have like 5,000 friends. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of yours and what you're doing. And I believe I even heard you say, you know, that a lot of black people look at guns and they've been told to look at guns like it's like this tool of crime.
Right.
You know, and it's like it's really that's like how the white media pushes it on them.
The people that I've gotten that pushback from, for me individually, have been that's just jealous dudes. Like that's just envy. That's just what happens. You know what I'm saying? As far as like law enforcement, they love what we do. People that's being solid people, you kind of got to be hard pressed to fight against somebody saying, yo, I'm not a trainer, I'm not an instructor, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to come to your town and we're going to link you up with trainers, instructors, lawyers, rangers in your community and build that relationship. You hard pressed to really fight against that. It got to be some deep-seated insecurities and hate that's brewing in you. So I can't even really necessarily call that pushback. That's them exposing the fact that they like confused fans. Like you can say, yo, I rock with you. I've been a fan. I watch it. There's a certain level of confidence in the ability to say that. It's like hip-hop artists. Sometimes in America, you go to a hip-hop concert, right? Unless the person has already made it. They're a huge artist. Other than that, if you, like, let's say if you a mid to small level artist, you're never going to get love at the show because everybody in the audience is either there, because they want to perform next. They're going to perform next. Or they man that's with him, or they homies is with him. I'm not giving the guy on stage love because I'm the man, or my man is the man. So there's a lack of understanding of looking at and appreciating a thing from purely like a spectator or a fan's perspective. There's joy in that though, to be able to go to somebody else's concert and be like, yo, they killed it. You know what I'm saying? Letting go of ego and letting go of false ego and all that other type of shit is difficult, but they can't really push back because they haven't done enough work. You know what I'm saying? You can't move us. The reason why we've been able to maneuver and get positive feedback and completely left-leaning, media outlets is because of the fact that we on point. If the left ain't pushing back, because they like, look, I don't know, these guys just seem to be doing the right thing. If the left ain't pushing back, and we getting love from people that are way above our pay grade, that tells you to be doing something right. The people that's just doing that in the meanwhile, they just kind of like on something else. But as far as like, you know, going back to the fear point, there are like white males that's biased. There's a lot of people in bigger gun organizations that's biased. They have their little select amount of people that they want to cater to, and that's cool. They might say like they want to empower all Americans. And
it sounds good on like a bumper sticker or something.
Like I believe I heard that you're not a fan of the MRA, the NRA.
I'm no longer a member of the NRA.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought that they're just like there to collect names to give them to the cops once they decide to take the guns.
So we've been tossing around this idea in our head of, you know, is the NRA a law enforcement agency? In the sense of, I mean, the rank and file is law enforcement, and I get it. You know, but it's like, okay, if the vast majority of the people that I'm trying to protect are law enforcement people, right? And those laws, extreme risk protection orders are horrible.
Yeah.
Red flag laws are horrible.
Yeah, we got them in Maryland, and several people have already died from it and shit. And like, it's just like you get one person that, you know, a neighbor, you piss off a neighbor, and he knows you got a gun. You piss him off, you run into the wrong person. You just, you know, whatever you do, they can just call you in, man.
We had the red flag law passed in our state by a Republican governor who everybody swore was going to let us keep the guns.
Rhinos everywhere.
Well, yeah, and you can get in a political disagreement with your nephew that you disagree with, and he can be like, "Oh, this guy is crazy because I believe in freedom."
That's the thing.
And then they can come in and take away your guns.
People can just say that's what indictments are. Somebody said that you did a thing.
Yeah.
Not proven. Not, you know, as a person that has been accused of heinous things.
Yeah, it's a no due process.
Yeah, it's just like we're going to allow, or the attempt is to try to allow public opinion to be the, you know, like the court of public opinion to be the actual court, and that's not the case. That's why it's very important for us as freedom-minded people to make sure, I don't got to agree with your freedom. I don't have to agree with it. It might not even be my thing, but it's your thing. And I'm going to make sure that freedom is the foundation of that. You know what I'm saying? Saying that to say that's the reason why urban America resonates with us.
I mean, doesn't it? I know I respect how you're not getting too into the politics right now, but like with Trump, it just dawned on me like a few times that it seems to me that if any president could get away with taking away the guns, it would be him.
Of course,
just because everything the right does, everything he does, the right's always filleting him.
Yeah,
and then everything the left does. You know, I mean, well, they're not going to give a shit if he takes away the guns.
I think that there's with great power comes great responsibility. So for me, if I wanted to create a cult, I probably could. You know what I'm saying? Or a culture.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's a great way to put it.
I think that, you know, he's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the late 80s and early 90s, maybe into the early 2000s. You've been on a 40-year hot streak. And, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, gets famous for lifting weights, does this, does that, marries into, like, the Kennedy family and all of this other stuff and becomes the governor and makes billions of dollars in box office sales. And we start liking him but not necessarily paying attention to the policies. So, for example, his son, Don Trump Jr., follows me on Instagram. We chop it up occasionally, right? I think his dad is doing a great job financially. Like finances and the economy, I think he's killing it. But I think he's not pro 2A. I don't think he's doing really good Second Amendment stuff.
Well, I don't think he gives a shit about the Second Amendment personally.
Now, with that being the case, I think that he's used because, you know, the NRA was like, yo, this is our president. And I was there at the first, you know, when he spoke at the NRA in Atlanta.
I mean, if you held a gun to my head and you made me choose between Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I had to pick one of them. I would have chosen Donald Trump. And like, I think he's probably doing a better job than Hillary would have done. Hillary was sounding like she wanted to take us to war with Russia off the get-go.
Exactly.
But, you know, at the same time, like, he's just not principled in any way, shape, or form, you know. And then, like, economically, with all the tariffs he's placing, you know, that's just going to make goods that we buy, you know, if we can get shit for cheap, good for us, you know, just go up, and it's going to make the American people pay more in the long run.
Or people will stop buying a bunch of shit that they don't need. So, for example, in Philly, we're talking about this, you know, the big conversation is around for the last few years, the sugary drinks tax, right? And it's like, on one hand, you know, we were literally talking about this morning. On one hand, I'm seeing, okay, schools, because education is a serious thing. Some of that money's like actually going back into schools. because our mayor like campaigned on education, right? Now, part of me's like, yo, add another tax, nah. But then another part of me's like, damn, maybe people will stop drinking sugary drinks as much as they do. So we always weigh in that scenario. Now, again,
do you think people are stopping? I mean, if you have to pay a quarter more, are you not going to buy that soda? You're going to buy something without sugar in it?
It depends on. I think that if you're principled and saying, yo, I'm not supporting this, and if I didn't vote for it, I'm going to do a thing with my dollar to go, you know what? This is the reason why we're not buying sugary drinks because of this tax. I think it becomes more than just a notion or something you say I disagree with this. Okay, now your dollars and your choices need to reflect that.
Well, I mean, you could also go back. Let's stay on the sugary tax for a second, okay? So the reason why sugary drinks are so cheap, in fact, is because the government subsidizes corn farmers.
Yep.
So, they're already taking money from us to subsidize corn farmers to lower the price.
Yep.
But then they're going to take even more from us
by selling it back to you
punish us.
Concept. Right.
Whereas if they didn't give the farmers the money in the first place and the sugary drinks were more expensive just because
Nobody
of the
would've bought them
market,
in the first place.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it would all exited each other out.
And that's what I'm saying. That balance and understanding of that, and that questions, even having those conversations around, well, we got to put the 5%, the tax. Well, do you actually? You know what I'm saying? And if so, and if not, why? Those are the parts of the process that getting people from urban America to have that conversation first and foremost, not limited to, and then make a decision based on that well-rounded concept, not just saying, well, hey, he did do the right thing with the sugary tax money, but then have a deeper question. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things are all tied into, again, going back into the Trump scenario. It's like, okay, some of the things that he did with the finance, cutting the red tape, unemployment, da-da-da-da, okay, cool. But what about over here? What about that scenario? It's more than just you do one thing and that's the one thing. It's called a ripple or a butterfly effect for a reason.
Yeah.
And the biggest and quickest and most powerful way to, have more of a solid foundation is to cut out a lot of the things that we've been doing habitually over time just because they're tradition. Just because you've been doing, we're going to tax people doesn't mean that that's how you have to continue going. Especially when we say, we can show you a different way based on a more freedom-based mindset. Urban America responds to that. But if nobody's dialoguing and having a conversation from the gate about that, especially in urban America, we can't even get started around that civic understanding of things.
Cool. So I'm going to let the Hardley boys come get seated. Are you guys out there solving mysteries? So, another thing I like that I've heard you say in an interview, I like this a lot because it's not said often enough. Mm-hmm. I imagine you guys have something like this in Philly because you were kind of talking about it. But, in Maryland right now, if you want to buy a pistol legally, you've got to pay I think it's $200 and some to get this license and take this course. Yeah. So and I like how you mentioned how that really limits economically deprived people from achieving their right.
Correct. It's sort of what they're doing is raising the barrier to entry. That's not something we have in Pennsylvania. You have to take a license to carry. So Pennsylvania is an open carry state.
Yeah.
But in Philly, which is the biggest contradiction, right?
Yeah.
In Philly, if you carry, you have to carry concealed because Philly's the only city of the first class, meaning 1 million or more inhabitants, right? Which is completely contradictory and unconstitutional because you made a statute for a city that supersedes your state constitution.
Yeah.
Which is clearly wrong, right?
How would you prefer to carry? Would you prefer to carry open or concealed?
No, I carry concealed.
Okay.
I carry concealed all the time.
But at the same time, I mean, I agree. You should have the freedom to choose.
Right. I believe all states should be constitutional carry. If you want to carry open, cool, do it. If you want to carry concealed, cool, do it. Buy the gun, carry it the way that you want to. It's very simple. I think and I say we because even though we're not 100 years old, nobody in this room, we are society. And we have allowed this shit to keep going further and further and further in opposition to freedom. So at a certain point, we got to start going it's not like just these imaginary people. We have to start informing the populace about very freedom-based ideology. I mean, we got fucking history books that exists, right? Let's talk about that. Let's make this be the conversation. Make sure that you have firearms to defend the things that you value, right? And then we're going to inform people. And then our elected officials say, not even elected officials, elected servants say, bro, we on this freedom wave. And if that's not what you about, then you can't really be here. There needs to be more of like a Suge Knight, you know what I'm saying, mentality.
Right?
In politics. If you're not about freedom, you can't really pump on this block. That's just what it is.
But that's how it is here in Maryland. Like we got these. Right now, it's actually passed and it's headed to the governor's desk about these concealed carry boards, where it's like a citizen board. Where before it was like in this state, you have to prove why you need to carry a gun to a
Y'all
bunch
got
of
a May issue state.
May issue. Yeah. So, I mean, now they're trying to take that away. Because what everyone's kind of campaigning for, and they're like, well, you know, we want to keep these civilian boards because they overturned a lot of these people who were denied because they're like civilian board, I guess. And so that's now the discussion. The discussion is, hey, man, like it's my right as an American, it's my right as a person. Like I should be able to, protect myself, carry. Right. But now it's like, well, no, we need to keep these citizen review boards, and they're like, no, we need to have government and police boards. Yeah. Like that's this conversation. It shifts.
How you shift that though is with the money. So if everybody in Maryland said, hey, Walmart, we like you for whatever reason, if you do, right? We're not going to give you any of our money because we are all collectively organized around the idea that the politicians that give you tax breaks and all of these other different things, they're very anti-freedom. So every Wednesday at Walmart, nobody in Maryland is buying anything from Walmart. And
I like that idea, but it's kind of a luxury to be able to boycott Walmart because, Walmart is the cheapest guy in town. So, and some people can't afford more than that.
Yes, they can, because a lot of things, you spending money on sugary fucking drinks. Or
no, I'm not saying that everybody can. Everybody, a lot of people can afford more than that, but then there are some people that just can't. There's some people that are just
you have to
by.
Listen, motherfucking George Washington and the boys with no engine over a slushy river, like went across the river to kill the other side. At a certain point, if you want certain liberations and freedoms, certain concepts and certain sacrifices have to be made. So, for example, I can't talk to my homie that's like, yo, man, I can't afford X, Y, and Z. Bro, what? I see you eat out 4 times a week, and I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying at what point that's where it comes back to the individual responsibility to be disciplined for the things that you say you want.
That's right.
Because if everybody goes, we're not shopping at Walmart, and it's like, yo, can I get on Craigslist and find that TV that I want for maybe similar? It might not be as new. You might have to do an extra step. But on Wednesdays, we don't shop at fucking Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart
fair
will
enough.
lean
I mean,
on
you
those.
could always go to the fucking Goodwill, right?
Walmart Wednesdays, you heard it first.
And then you can also get some amazing deals there.
Go to Aldi, man. Aldi's cheaper.
Better
Go
deals
to
than
Aldi.
Walmart.
And this is my point. So on one hand, we say, oh, we can't do it. No, there's always been an individual and collective effort to get the things that you want. It's just now we in such a space of marshmallowization of America that it's like when we go, oh, man, that's messed up that they're doing that. All right, well, what the fuck you gonna do next? Like, you're just gonna say, we made a meme about it. All right, so the fuck what? And that's the trick to social media. The way that the human mind works, the neurons when you imagining some shit and the neurons when you actually doing the shit is the same neurons that are firing. So your mind has tricked yourself into thinking you actually did some shit. And you didn't. You just talked about it and visualized it and got in this heated debate with your fucking thumbs.
That's like
on the gram.
Yeah. I totally hear you, man. Like that's like one thing, I realized when I first started like social media and stuff, I'd put out like some like cool memes or just articles or just like some type of libertarian point. And I realized like that's all that got me is like a like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe somewhere out there, someone saw it and was like, it resonated with them and it tripped and it sent them down a path. But doubtful. I mean, all I got back in return was I get like 2 or 3 likes, if that, You
gotta do, it has to be both of those things. I'm a fan of, like when people say, well, it's the system. Well, it is kind of the system, but we the system. And it's also individual responsibility. When you take one out of that equation, when you go, well, it's only, you fucked up. Your balance is off. So when you go, oh no, it's just only the person. Well, what do you mean? So like slavery in America was just the person? Stop the bullshit. You have to address both of them. So yeah, I'll hit you with a meme and I'll make a joke about it and we'll communicate about it, but then we're gonna go, okay, this is what we're gonna do about this too. The meme, it's like in like, I don't know, people like read the Bible and stuff. Faith without works is like pretty much nothing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm saying, oh, hell yeah, hit them with the meme. It creates the paradigm shifts. It puts a different inception into whoever's head. I'm all the way there for that. But then it has to become, okay, we don't like this. We are not, in America, you vote with your dollar first, every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, we don't fuck with this. We're gonna test. Like when my friends go, we had this big conversation on social media.
Yeah.
And it's like we made a list of places that are anti-gun. And here's the antithesis. These are the places that you can go spend your money at, right? And
wait, so you don't eat Ben and Jerry's?
No.
Dude, but it's so good.
It is. It's fucking delicious. The funny thing is, we started saying, you know, like, guys would start saying, because you'll see those signs, no, you know, fucking Beretta. That's how I read it, because good thing I don't have a Beretta on me. Right? So those guys will go, yeah, concealed is concealed. And I'm like, yeah, that's one way of doing it. I get you. But that doesn't really give the company an impetus to change that policy. If you start going, hey, Whole Foods, I really love your new grocery stores. They're awesome. You have bars in them. And I've probably given you about $60,000 over the last however many years. It's unfortunate that I cannot give you any more of my money because you have a position that you don't want me in your shop with a firearm just in case some weirdo comes in to defend life.
Because they're not going to listen to that sign.
They're not going to listen to that sign. So when you say that to Walmart or Whole Foods or whoever and go, I would love for you guys to revisit this policy, but until then, me and my constituents can't really give you any money anymore. Then that gives them an impetus to go, hold on now, on Wednesdays we lost how many $100 million? Then they'll lean on those politicians and the politicians go, okay, I got to go with the tide. My constituents are saying, yo, we're not really doing this if you know what I mean? And it's in alignment with freedom. And we can have a conversation about how we can be safe and responsible gun owners and all of that. We open to that dialogue, but you just telling Americans or humans, no, just for no sake, you got to eat a dick. I'm sorry. It's just what it is.
That's a D.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. And I think that if we succumb to the philosophy that we like are powerless and you lost right there from the gate. If we would have believed that with Black Guns Matter, we started with like our first class was in Baltimore on the tour. The very first one.
Where was that? Where was that?
It was in somewhere on a King Center. I forget where was it. I think it was West Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
It was the brother's name is I forget it. I'll send it to you all the time.
Because you've gotten involved with MSI.
Yeah. Squeaky. Yep.
So was that like involved with MSI?
Yeah,
Maryland
it was
Child
when
Issue?
Dan Blasberg was over there. And
That's Maryland Child Issue.
Maryland Child Issue, right? And
MSI.
Tim Montoya came through, and a bunch of other dudes, and we had a lot of cool people. But we did that with like maybe $800, like from Phil. Like we made the GoFundMe, and was like, hey, let's just go, and then it starts snowballing and keep going. But like we up against like 7 Goliaths. It's 7 Goliaths. Like so, fuck them. Like it's not that deep if I'm alive because I'm not dead. And if I'm dead, I'm free anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. But when we have this defeatist mindset of, you know, and then we using the social media to cope and kind of like complain about it, but not putting no rumble in. Nah, man, like they really win because if they bluffing us a lot of times. And if I could bluff you, I could beat you. So a lot of times it's like, no, we just gonna go sue them. And then they catch a couple of lawsuits and they like bullies. It's like, yo, we keep getting, like the nerds are punching us in the mouth now. So we can't like do this anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same mentality that all freedom fighters in international fucking waters, world history have it's always a bunch of Goliaths and you got to have a fucking slingshot.
Wow.
That was a good pull quote.
That was great, man.
No,
You nailed it
it
on
was
that
Real
one.
good one.
So, you know, like the whole world, it seems like pretty much has went like more gun control than we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you think we'll be able to stop it here?
Yeah, or a lot of motherfuckers gonna die.
Oh wow.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it's very true.
like,
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, people are
Totally.
dying in this state already from
Right.
the red state,
The first one.
or the red
Yeah.
flag law.
Anne Arundel County.
Yeah.
First one, red flag law, elderly gentleman.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, people proposing gun control are no doubt calling for the most violence.
Right. Listen, man, those people ain't really anti-gun though.
Yep. Yeah.
They really just want like a state-sponsored monopoly on violence.
Yep. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, let's make just these guys have the guns, idiot.
Yeah.
But then
exactly.
the funny thing is, if they on the left, they say, Trump is Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But please take away our guns.
Yep.
though.
What the fuck is wrong
Yeah,
with
I know,
you?
exactly,
That's
yeah.
the stupidest shit on earth.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just finding that balance. That's why, again, like earlier, like first to add to that question as well. Yeah, we could stop it because there's too many people here, even though they've been trying to inception again, to use that phrase again, to keep people thinking like, no, this is for your safety, this is for your safety. I mean, that spell is deep, but a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of study, and a couple dollars, like, can break that matrix really easy. You know what I'm saying? So it's too many people in America. Our arrogance and confidence alone makes us go like, who the fuck are you to tell me what I can't? Even if it's something wrong with that, it's still a certain level of arrogance that Americans, we got like this, like, yo, fuck you. Like, I'm Rocky. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what
Totally.
I'm saying? So in order to convince, like, it would have to be so long, and like all of the people that think like us would like have to be dead. All of them, like, damn near at the same time. And it's almost impossible for that to happen. So the other thing is we are actually pushing back in international waters to make, there's other countries that have things similar to the Second Amendment, South Africa. You know what I'm saying? These are places that's like, yo, world history. Okay, go tell the people of fucking the Jewish people, like, yo, no guns. Okay, try that shit if you want to. They have points of reference that they like, yeah, fuck no. You know what I'm saying? And I think America's like the stronghold.
Yeah, the people experience it. They get it. You know, when push comes to shove, they get that.
They get it. And so no, I don't think it'll happen. That shit ain't gonna fucking happen on my watch. You know what I'm saying? It's just that if we want a conversation about freedom and safety and true American ideals, you know, the libertarian movement has to get the hood online with it. You know what I'm saying? We need more numbers on the board. It's a tug of war. You know what I'm saying? And we looking real light on this side. You know what I mean? Figuratively and literally. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we not having the numbers, and the whole room in the libertarian room is white as fuck.
Yeah.
The left does a way better job, even with enslaving policies. They look like the fucking Rainbow Coalition in there. And because they've gotten better because of the fact that they don't have facts. They have to figure out creative ways.
Yeah.
And because we freedom people, we just want to be left alone. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. The problem with that is the other side wants your things. So we just gonna leave us alone, and they like, no, we like coming for your shit.
It's just like neoliberalism.
Yeah.
They just keep trying to they just want control,
Yep.
and that's it.
Yep.
And they just try to feel good, diversity, look at all, and it's like they don't give a fuck.
They don't
about,
give a fuck. They just good at the fucking PR.
Exactly, the PR. Exactly.
You know what I'm
That's all it
saying?
is.
The gun control
It's a facade.
movement, the gun control movement, like every time there's a shooting, it energizes them.
Yep.
You know, there's a school shooting, there's a mall shooting, there's a concert shooting, and that's what they're rallying around is the public safety. So it reminds me of abortion, the way you have these huge camps, the pro gun and the anti-gun camps, and one side is going, look, this is my liberty, this is my defense mechanism, this is my safety blanket. Do not take these guns away. And the other side's going, we need to do something about these shootings. This is a threat to public safety. And so you have this like irreconcilable differences where it's like it really does come down to numbers. Like you were saying, it's a tug of war between these two huge camps, and whoever has the most gets their politicians and gets their laws and gets things the way they want.
Here's the thing to that, though. You can break down how false their argument is because they rally around those mass shootings, which make up less than 1% of shootings. But nobody's talking about fucking New Orleans, which is actually the murder capital running for the last 3 years per capita. Nobody's even Chicago. They use Chicago as the talking point, but it's never a like, hey, this is a fucking, that's actually a public safety issue.
I
barely
didn't,
hear
I didn't
about
know New
Baltimore.
Orleans.
Right,
Other
was
than
a
B-more
living
is
here.
like fucking Bodymore.
And the other thing
fucking-
too, I think like there would be more casualties if it weren't for the fact that there's like 3 world-class hospipals
Right.
within the city limits.
Right.
Like the body count would be even
Even
higher.
higher.
And it's like you don't hear about that, but
Nope.
any like Kyle was saying, like any mass shooting, it's just like, oh my god. And a lot of them are just the loudest motherfuckers in the room. They're just
Yep.
like the loudest, and it's you hear it for a week or two or that, and then it dies out.
But see, again, this is where we got to be self-critical. So I did an interview after the radio show that we have on Sundays, last Sunday, right? And the lady was like straight, like worked with the Brady campaign, like I'm with Brady type shit. And what we get so because we know that we're right, but you don't get anything for being right. You're just fucking right. Mm-hmm. They'll go, their argument there is, these deaths. And I'll go, yeah, trauma's trauma. It's fucked up what happens in the Parkland. It's fucked up what happens in the Stoneman Douglas. It's fucked up what happens in North Philly where I'm from. And I add that to the mix. And I go, what we're dealing with there is the issue of trauma and ignorance. We on the freedom side aren't being empathetic enough to the trauma because we know we're right. Yeah. So we go, come on, those numbers don't even fucking add up. And we're right on the stats. But then the other side goes, but damn, death is okay. They've been successful at painting us as if
Like we think it's
death
okay.
is okay.
That it's okay, right.
And we don't adapt, and the left has better fucking PR. They have to.
Because they appeal to people's emotions
Yep.
better. Because, when something like an awful thing happens, like with, the Christchurch shooting, that massacre that happened, like you knew what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
And no one even really gave time to grieve. It was simple. It was like, look how fast they move into banning,
Yep.
semi-automatic weapons or whatever. Look how fast they move because you knew that was what was coming next.
Right.
And it sucks because you're going to follow up another tragedy with potentially, another tragedy, like,
Right.
with the gun confiscation. I mean, people have already, I think even there, people have been have died
Yep.
refusing to give up their guns. So that's the thing. It kind of drives you crazy. It's like, you really, like, I took a moment, I took a moment for myself after everything that happened because it was just so awful, like seeing it. I don't know if you saw the video. I unfortunately did, and like that really drove home at me. And so a lot of people are the same way too. They hear about it, and the left does this good job of like, appealing to everyone's emotions.
Yep. And then because again, back to the goldfish thing, short memory. Now,
Yeah, the goldfish.
so to me, it'll be okay. Let's look at New Zealand in fucking 2 years.
Dude, like the night of the shooting or the night Kyle saw the video, it might have been a few days later. He was like sounding like a little bitch. He was like, I don't know, maybe gun control's a good thing.
Yeah, Matt, I had just finished watching that guy, literally shooting people in the head in the street, and like I turned the video off, and then I immediately get into an argument with Matt like 2 seconds later about gun control, and
This is on like private messenger.
and I'm not a gun control advocate. I do take the personal defense side. I think that's the stronger of the two arguments.
Yeah.
At the same time, like I do think there can be limits on what you're allowed to possess. We've talked about chemical weapons or nuclear weapons. I mean, how far, like, are we allowed?
Like
are we just blanket? People are allowed to have anything. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that could.
So let's isolate it to, let's say firearms, right?
Yeah.
What firearm to you do you think that the American people should not have?
Yeah, that's a good. I mean,
None. The answer is none.
yeah, I can't really think of one. I mean, maybe
Because it's hard to draw that line.
It is.
Well,
yeah. But again, I'm very pro-gun compared to where the average American is. Somebody else would say, hey, any kind of machine gun or something that could mow down 60 people, and that's what we saw in New Zealand. The guy was just going through and taking out a crowd so quickly because he had the technology, because he had the guns that were able
but no
to
one
do
talks
that.
about that knife
Yeah,
attack
he didn't
in
have
China.
resistance.
Well, yeah, and then the other thing is nobody talks about how that guy was eventually stopped with a guy with a gun.
Exactly.
A guy with a gun. And then
Not even just a guy.
a guy with a gun who was not a
ATM
cop.
Machine that wasn't a cop that picked up one of the dude's guns and threw the gun at him. Abdul Aziz, shout
Yep.
to him.
And the police actually got there 40 minutes after the incident started.
So, in most shootings like that, right? It's like, okay, I don't know if y'all been in shootouts before. Usually in a shootout, once the first round is let off, everybody fucking runs. Anybody that has a gun, if they're in the actual shootout, they exchange, they a couple of seconds, somebody either gets shot and somebody leaves, or everybody scatters. In a scenario where I'm the only person, one with the gun, whoever can't get away, I get to shoot them people. So the concept of gun control is basically saying, like, yo, don't do this, bad guy. This is against the rule. And if I'm the fucking dude that's like what Bruce Lee said. There's nothing more dangerous than a man that's committed to biting your nose off.
Right.
If I've made a decision, I'm going to bite your fucking nose off. It's really fucking hard to stop a person that's that committed unless you can meet that level of force. So usually in shootings, right, when someone with a firearm shows up, that person either A, is taken into custody, or B, kill themselves. So I would rather someone early show up and like, hey, I'm going to shoot the shit out you, and they kill themselves. Problem solved. That's why we have the data. It's now 16 states that are constitutional carry in America.
Those seem to be growing, too.
Those are growing fast.
We need to pump those numbers up.
Absolutely. Those are rookie numbers.
Well, I mean, you can.
Those states have notoriously lower violent crimes.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a general culture there of, I
already
might run
exists.
into some buckshot. I go in somebody's house. What girl are you raping if there's a 75% chance, if I'm the weirdo, going out to rape today, right?
They're going in windows.
Right. Now you're questioning, shit,
Yep.
Right.
I might not be the
Exactly.
area to rape in.
Right.
Same concept. Firearms are used between 500,000, 500,000 times a year to somewhere up towards 3 million times a year annually in defensive gun usages.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like you're not campaigning for guns as much as you're campaigning for safety.
Correct. This is
Yep.
conflict resolution. This is de-escalation. This is political education.
Yeah, I look at guns as a tool, much like a hammer. You know, you can use a hammer for construction, or you could bash someone's head in.
More people
with
die
it.
from hammers, I think. I don't know. I think there's
You know,
stats.
I think that
true.
where we need to focus on is the root cause of shootings, which is the mind, right?
Correct.
That your mind is what makes you act and makes you do things. And so what is going on with our culture, specifically U.S. culture, where these things have become so commonplace? Like, why are there people going into schools and shooting them up? What is going on with people's heads where they think that this is acceptable?
So there's several answers to that. One, this is crazy because I posted this on a Gram video at the same radio station this morning. You're talking about broken family structures. And I know it sounds so fucking cliche, but it's like true.
No, it's totally true. That's where
No, it's
everything
true.
everything
Right,
starts
yeah.
at home.
Right.
Everything
And
starts at
I'm
home.
literally watching the difference between when my children know that I'm around and, okay, I can get away with this with mom, but I can't get away with this with dad.
And you did it too.
Right.
Yep.
So
Right.
even going, hey man, what you doing? Come play basketball with me. Come do da da da. Hey, I'm doing laundry. Let's talk while we infusing a concept of purpose into young people, right? As opposed to you look at the vast majority of the young men that shot people. This kid down in Stoneman Douglas was like, got the cops called on him 38 times.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, at what point?
No one down there in Broward County decided to be like, you know what? Maybe we should pull this young man in. Hey, what's going on? Let's get them involved in extracurricular activities. Let's add to their actual thing.
What happened to Police Athletic League in Broward County?
Right.
Like,
Mind you, they're like the most well-endowed and
Yeah.
county sheriff department endowed.
Wait, they have huge cocks.
Right, they got huge cocks down there. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Their endowment from like they literally have a Lamborghini.
And there
yeah, I
was a
saw
TV
that shit. That's
there was a
fucked
TV
up.
show that the policewomen of Broward County, like a few years ago, like that's like a very like big district, when it comes to like cops. They're always filming cops down there too.
Right.
It's like at what point,
Because
at what point?
they juke the stat game to make, instead of dealing with the actual matters at hand and solving the problem. Again, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. But there's more money in the cure. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same concept. We and this is a holistic approach to how we as American society have allowed ourselves to get to the point where, in all of these different industries, we're not taking a moment to go, how can we cut out the bullshit? We're going, damn, if I let a little bit of the bullshit pop off, I could create industries and economies off of a little bit of the bullshit. Dr. Sebi made a statement where he said, a society that hides the cure to continue selling, death isn't a society, it's an insane asylum. So we in that space, and then if we look at it from that lens, well, shit, that's why there's people going insane. Then you got to tie in the fucking FDA in the pocket of the fucking big pharmaceutical industry.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You think? We could talk about.
You got to.
You think Nipsey got taken out because of that?
I think on a
or
more
just-
local level, I think there's LAPD that wanted Nipsey Hussle, and nobody's talking about looking at the developers. South Central, where he owned that property.
Shit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah,
So we're not talking
There's a
about-
lot of players.
There's a lot of players
Yeah.
potentially could do that. The guy that has been charged with murdering him has now come out and said the LAPD, and if it could be a conspiracy theory, I know that's a CIA term. However,
Right.
Yeah.
he said, yo, they offered me $75,000 to do it, and they told me that I would not go to jail. So there's a bunch of layers there, but I think that there's listen,
Because he was producing a documentary.
producing it. But even okay, so take the documentary for example. That case was in 1985. Sebi's information is still
It's all
on
out
YouTube.
there. Yeah.
So it's like, all right, okay, maybe that's the play, or that could have been, but on a different level. To me, developers, which is billion-dollar industries in South Central Los Angeles, these are all things that are like, all right, well, why couldn't they do it? Why wouldn't the LAPD, who has a history of certain portions of the LAPD being corrupt?
No way. Really?
Absolutely not. You know what I'm
Never
saying?
heard of a thing.
Like,
No,
all of
get
these
out.
things, I just know that at the end of the day, another human decided to not see value in that very powerful brother. And then
Yeah.
it still has to come back to the individual. Even if
Yeah.
he can prove that the LAPD agreed to say, we're going to give you $75K to do this, bro, you still pulled that trigger. So it's still a system,
Yeah.
and it's still the individual. You know what I'm saying? So it's all of those different layers, but I just think it's most important that everybody keep streaming his music, go buy the merch, keep that marathon alive.
Yeah. The
Now,
conflict
is-
resolution.
Is there anything? Yeah, we're running low on time here.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to say you just want people to hear before we close this?
Man, support the work, man. Don't just accept the narrative that guns are bad. Look into conflict resolution. Look into de-escalation. Anybody that may have learned something here, in this conversation, or agree with some of the things that we all discussed here. If you want to support our work, we keep these classes free.
Well, in this conversation, we're more arguing about should we be allowed to have nukes?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's but yeah, so we're all on board with this. And then, but yeah, I mean, so obviously we like what you're doing.
Word.
So
Yeah,
we
man.
appreciate it.
we like
For
it a
sure.
lot, man.
That's why I
I'd
wanted
say-
you here.
Right.
You're super inspirational. Dude.
Thank you.
Hell yeah,
for
man.
sure. Shameless plug. GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter.
How's the campaign going? City
Oh,
council.
it's
what
going good.
can you
So yeah, I can allude
like
to
real
it.
quick? Like tell us a little about.
There's some rumblings that I may be running
Maybe.
for
Oh, that's just
city
rumblings?
council.
Oh, okay.
These rumblings
Rumblings.
that I may be running for city council at large in Philadelphia. There may or may not be some sort of website that exists.
Oh, okay. So
somewhere
it's
that
it's just a
may-
theory.
It's a theory. It
out
may be
there.
a conspiracy theory.
Someone
Well,
threw it
that
out
conspiracy sounds awesome.
You know
to
what I'm
me.
saying? Yeah, but
May or may not.
yeah, y'all
Can't
you know,
confirm
but-
or deny.
But right, I cannot confirm or deny. But no, people just stay tuned, and we might be doing some great stuff in Philly. Do you know Philly's like 80% Democrat? 80%.
That
like
sounds like
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Baltimore's-
Right. Yo, be more in Philly, like
Very
even
similar.
visually, like in
They're the same.
North Philly is the same thing.
Yeah, blue
Yeah.
collar, industry gone,
Right.
redlining districts,
Yep.
histoy of race, like just
Yeah, I
very
could
similar.
Tell you
very
real
similar.
quick. There's I go in the city. I get my son's haircut done, and we one time there was a bunch of traffic, so I just took the back way home. It took us through some bad parts of town, and just over a bunch of these row homes, half of them were burnt out, just completely burnt out. I mean, there's homeless people living on the streets, and someone took a sign. It was probably by the length of 2 row homes, and they put it up on these empty row homes and said, "Vote Democrat."
Yeah,
And I wish I took a picture
for real,
of it.
man. They put up signs and like the word, and it's like, look at this shit.
Yeah.
And I've been like voting for this shit
Look,
for
that's
years.
why
It's
when
like,
Trump was in Detroit and he was like, "You got no jobs. You you go down the street, you get shot."
Yeah.
Like, what do you got to lose? That resonated with so many people from the hood. Was like,
I think
I'll give him a shot. You know
I think
what I'm
you
saying?
should run Democrat. If you're in a 80% Democrat city, why bother running as a Republican? Why the real
running as a libertarian, Kyle.
The re-
If you were-
Allegedly.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
like,
I'm just
if he
saying-
were to run,
I'm just saying
Kyle, come lately.
the real race is in the primary, the Democratic primary in a city, and that's where the real competition is. And you can make a big splash doing that.
Honestly, dude, I don't give a fuck like who you run as.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I like what you're saying.
Right.
So,
If the principles are the same, right.
Right.
It's like, all right,
I mean,
cool.
It doesn't matter what letter you got
Right.
next to your name.
Right.
Yeah, you got my vote.
Being on the libertarian team, I'm going to be more proud of you because it's like on my team.
Right.
But I mean, either way, I mean, if you're saying what you're saying, you're still on my team. So
Right.
it's like, I'm not going to hate.
The labels is the
Labels,
labels,
yeah.
but the substance is the substance.
Yeah.
But so I had a conversation with old Philadelphia mayor and governor.
Old Rindell.
Bam.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, you never win as you never win as It's just how the city works." Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To me, though, I think. But think about this. Again, it's Rocky. It's Rocky.
Yeah, man.
The hood is identified that big ass sign that says vote Democrat. The hood is going like, bro, I don't know if this shit is still the way.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Unfortunately,
at certain
they
points,
still vote that
they
way.
still do.
They're
but
like Apollo
Yeah.
Creed.
They're receptive to the concept of, but the messenger hasn't been like if some dude comes through and it's like I could say the same thing that a freedom dude would say, but let's say he's got a Oxford and shoes or whatever them kind of shoes is fucking called, right? And they go, yeah, sure fucking thing, Bob. You don't get me. Even though Bob is like, yo, I know exactly what the fuck is going on. But if I say the same thing that Bob said, they go, damn, Maj, that seems to make sense. There's not a defense mechanism up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So to me, how awesome would the Rumble be if we could say to urban America and they got behind it and went, yo, you have another option. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do this. Like when I tell people from Democrat or Republican and they're like, yeah, our side is the freedom side. And it's like, bro, you're picking one of these two. Who do you identify as freedom? George Washington. He didn't even want a fucking two-party system.
Right.
So that opening of the mind to make urban America go, yo, I don't really know if I bang with the Republicans, but I can clearly see that 50 years or 70 years of these policies on the left have been kind of fucking us up. Yeah. What else you got? Oh, and Maj is with that too? All right, cool. Let's get at a shot.
I mean,
think
like,
that's,
dude, I wouldn't give a shit if you ran as a Republican, a Democrat, a libertarian. I mean, it's like I said, I'll take pride in that you're a libertarian, because I mean, I like that party. I'm biased to that, but I mean, it's however the best way for you to get in office, or even if you can't get in office, if you were to allegedly try to run,
Hypothetically,
but for you,
Just
to
an educational campaign.
I mean, if you think about it, the best way for you to just be heard by as many people.
Yep.
I think you're inspiring, dude.
Yep.
And live free
or die.
Cool.
Bam.
That's it.
All right.
What up? Maj, sorry, man. I'm Alex, dude. Sorry, dude. I was running late. Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
What was y'all doing?
I'm Kyle.
Damn, man. I had, well, long story short, I had to meet with my fucking tax guy today.
Oh, we just did that a couple
And it
days
wasn't,
ago.
but it wasn't good. But,
No, I forgot to record on there, but I can get the audio of it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Yeah.
We're good.
but,
I was like, I just kept seeing it say 0. I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute.
what radio station were you on today?
No, this was, I got a weekly joint.
This might be recording here, so we gotta.
Oh.
Let's just.
talk why this is on.
Right.
Hi, everybody. We're still here.
Right.
Punk rock libertarians after hours. How you people doing out